So the New York Times has decided to admit that it's fake news, which I was not expecting, but based New York Times, I guess. Anyway, so this is internal staffers who have then gone to the Spectator and said, yeah, we were told not to investigate the claims that the virus came from the Wuhan lab because, well, it's not allowed, is it? Dissenting opinions.
Isn't that incredible how the New York Times, one of the oldest and most trusted names in journalism, actually were told not to do an investigation on what I suppose I would consider to be the most pertinent news story in the last 2 years.
But also much journalism. Like, you know what journalism is? Not investigating things at all.
Not investigating the possibility that a virus is engineered in a Chinese communist lab and released onto the rest of the world.
Nah,
That wouldn't be journalism.
Stop thinking. That's the message of the New York Times. Anyway, so here's the story. The New York Times instructed staffers not to investigate Wuhan lab leak claims. The New York Times instructed its staffers at the beginning of the pandemic not to investigate leads surrounding the possibility of COVID-19's leak from the Wuhan Institute of Virology. The Spectator World Edition has revealed in an exclusive report.
Okay, hang on. Right. So I'm not. I enjoy conspiracy theories, but I don't really think they're true because I think that people are incompetent. But that's the kind of thing that suggests a conspiracy. Like, why would the editorial board of the New York Times be like, yeah, don't investigate this? Why wouldn't we want to know that?
Because this is, I generally agree as well, but it does strike me as another one of these situations. Same with the 2016 Trump campaign or anything other, where it just looks like such a conspiracy, and it's not necessary for people to meet and decide things. It's just the wrong idea in the wrong place with the wrong elite. And in this case, it's the elite who decided Donald Trump, bad man, and he said that it might come from China, this lab, and therefore it's not true. It's just not true. And we're not going to investigate it.
And if it was just there was a general culture of ignorance in the New York Times, I would say, okay, yeah, that's what it seems to be.
I was more suggesting a cult of hatred of Donald Trump.
No, absolutely. Right. And if there was just a general culture of despising Donald Trump and being like, yeah, we don't care about any of that, then okay, because then you could be like, right, okay, it was just kind of natural in the same way that we didn't go and investigate stories about, Duerte in the Philippines or something like that. It's just outside of our interest, and so we didn't bother with it. Fine. But if I'd given you a specific order not to investigate this one specific thing that was having a massive impact worldwide, that then looks suspicious. Okay, why? Why do you want me to not do it? Why would, like, this is clearly an important story. It's clearly not just ignorance that kept them from looking into this.
Yeah, I'm not claiming it's just ignorance either. It very much reminds me of the story of the New York Post published the Hunter Biden laptop leaks.
Yep, and that was specifically quashed by Twitter and other Facebook and whatnot, and not investigated by any of the other outlets. And when it was intimated that it was a fake laptop and not his.
But the best example I thought was NPR, so a publicly funded organization, who responded by saying that this story wasn't worth their time.
Yeah, I
because
remember,
it was fake news, and therefore they're not going to waste their readers' time on such a thing.
And
also, Trump, Russia.
Oh, God, yeah. But that's the thing. The Hunter Biden thing clearly wasn't fake news. So that was clearly part...
The Biden campaign didn't deny it.
Absolutely, and Hunter Biden didn't deny it. And he was like, well, it could be mine, that's because it is yours.
It's because there's footage of you smoking crack on there, mate.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a deep fake.
Who was it? I think it was Giuliani who was like, you know what, if it was a deep fake, I could understand one or two images, but why are there 100 images of him putting Skittles on his penis? Like, are the Chinese really photoshopping that 100 times? Why isn't 99 times enough for the Chinese? Why isn't 50 times enough for those deep fakes?
Very hard workers. But anyway, that's what this story reminds me of. So they say, speaking to journalist Dominic Green, a veteran New York Times staffer, claimed that suggestions made to a senior editor at the paper pertaining to the opening of an investigation into the origins of SARS-CoV-19 in early 2020 were dismissed, with the editor stating that it was dangerous to run a piece about the origins of the coronavirus.
Dangerous to who? What the hell possible rationale is that?
If it's true, then it's dangerous to the CCP. Nice to know where the New York Times authorities lie. But if it is just, again, this groupthink, it could be, well, it's dangerous to us because we might look like we're siding with people who we politically disagree with.
Sure, but people who may be telling the truth. I mean, this was something that Donald Trump pointed out early on. It's like, look, there happens to be an Institute of Virology literally in the same city. And now we know that Fauci was funding gain-of-function research there into this exact coronavirus, and this virus hasn't been found in the wild.
It's a bat virus, and the virology lab is north of where all the bats are, All the bats are in the south.
Not even that. They haven't found a single bat with the virus in it.
I know, but it's just like every piece of evidence here is fishy, to say the least.
And so it's no surprise when it's like, it took, who was it, Jon Stewart, to mainstream that on the left. Oh, well, all the Republicans are suspect about this, but we don't believe it. We don't believe it. And Jon Stewart's like, come on. And everyone's like, yeah, okay, maybe it did.
You think Jon Stewart would start to take the notice that, Jesus Christ, what's happened to my community?
Yeah, how is he the authority on the left?
Yeah. Anyway. So here's the quote in here. I suggested to a senior editor at the paper that we investigate the origins of COVID-19. I don't know what's wrong with that. Yeah. I was told that it was dangerous to run a piece about the origins of the coronavirus. There was resistance to running anything that could suggest that COVID-19 was man-made or had leaked accidentally from the lab. Just no interest in investigating it.
It just sounds like a cover-up. It sounds like they're a part of a cover-up. Well, I'm not saying they are part of a cover-up, because I don't know. This is all the information I have on this too, but this just sounds like a cover-up. If this was Trump and Giuliani saying, oh, we're not going to look into this, and the New York Times is ordering them not to look into this, saying it's dangerous to look into the Trump campaign spending or something.
You'd say they're working for Trump.
I'd say they were working for Trump and there was a cover-up going on, yeah. Because that's what it would indicate.
Yeah. So they continue because it's not just one unnamed person here. So another Times staffer told Green that the paper had, quote, led the charge in dismissing any questioning of the established theory that the virus had originated naturally as conspiracy or racist.
Which is ironic because there's absolutely no evidence for it in the wild.
But also, why would it be racist? What a goddamn thing
to
say.
Yeah, but obviously because they'll be like, oh, you're pathologizing the Chinese, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, no.
What, as people who make mistakes and accidentally might leak something?
Possibly. Or
but us who say that CCP did nothing and could never do nothing. They're totally not pathologizing minorities. Okay.
But it's just, I mean, this is just such a ridiculous thing because they're promoting a conspiracy theory, a theory that is just not grounded in reality at all, and everyone's just meant to be like, right, okay, never mind, that happened, moving on. It's mad.
So he says, it was considered a conspiracy theory, which everyone remembers. It was untouchable everywhere. The fact that Trump embraced it, of course, also made it a no-go. So the fact that the bad orange man had said that maybe this has some water to it, that was another thing that made it.
In the defense of the New York Times, this is why I'm so stridently against vegetarianism.
Hey?
Hitler was a vegetarian, wasn't he?
Oh, right.
Disgusting. Disgusting Nazism in the vegetarian movement, and it has to stop.
Mao also promoted vegetarianism.
Even more reason. Yeah. See, this is why I'm on the carnivore diet.
Bunch of socialists.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they end this with, in spite of the established scientific consensus, persistent denunciation of the lab leak theory throughout the course of the pandemic, the theory has seen increased attention in recent months, with US President Joe Biden, a member of the far right presumably, in May ordering a redoubling of the investigation into the virus origins, refuting the accusations in a statement to The Spectator. A spokesman for the New York Times said, any accusation that the New York Times would refuse to investigate the origins of the pandemic is ridiculous.
Why didn't you? Why? I mean, you didn't do it. Why didn't you do it? If it's such a ridiculous thing to suggest that you were told not to do it, why wasn't it happening? Where's your investigation into it?
But also, are we really led to believe that they would not? Like, they really wouldn't tell people not to waste their time on this? Like, you had organizations, like we said with NPR, on the Hunter Biden story, saying, we're just not going to report on it because we're not wasting our readers' time. It's not ridiculous to suggest that you would engage in this. In fact, it's pretty normal in this current age of political discourse that a organization like you would quash it because Trump man bad. Anyway, I thought I'd just end this on one of the comments down there. So Hammurabi says, how has journalism gone from the likes of Watergate to this in only a few decades? Yeah, he's right. But if Obama had spied on his opponents leading into an election, no one would care either. So,
he did.
Yeah.
Well, if he had. Well, he did, and no one cared. Like, unironically, they spied on the Trump campaign. The Obama administration spied on the Trump campaign. No one cares. New York Times not doing a big expose about that. It's amazing that you can just map out their loyalties by the subjects that they cover.
But anyway,
genuinely amazing.
The failing New York Times, worse than everyone thinks.
If you enjoyed this segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can watch the full broadcast live every weekday at 1 p.m. UK time on lotuseaters.com.